Hi there, I'm James from RACV, and in today's video we'll be talking about the state of Victoria's country roads. Now, behind me looks like an ordinary country road. It is in fact the Midland Highway, one of the top 50 shortlisted roads on RACV's list of most dangerous roads in country Victoria based on the government's own engineering standards. As you can see, it's too narrow, it's potholed, the trees are too close to the side of the road, it's on a bend, and it's far too dangerous for the amount of traffic that this road is taking just outside here in Creswick, country Victoria. A bit later on, I'll also be talking to Mark, one of our RACV patrols in the Ballarat area, about the issues that he's seeing on a daily basis and the importance of maintaining your vehicle to ensure that if you do hit that pothole, it doesn't puncture your tyre, as it is happening to many people. The My Country Road survey is an opportunity for all Victorians to have their say about the state of our roads. We're interested in hearing from you about potholes, rough surfaces, narrow roads, narrow lanes, shoulder widths, and anything that you think is unsafe about a country road near you. So take the opportunity to fill out the survey, racv.com.au/have your say. We're out here near Creswick in country Victoria, and I'm with Mark.
I've been doing this job for about 10 years, and occasionally we come across intersection very poorly designed that need some government attention, such as the one behind us.
Now, Mark, tell us a little bit about the roads generally in this area. We're in Creswick, around Creswick, Ballarat, Clunes. What are the roads looking like?
The roads are in a poor state of repair. We are seeing an increase in flat tyres, damage to tyres, damage to wheels, damage to suspension. In the winter months that are coming, it will get worse.
And here today, obviously we've got this hill and there's bend on the hill. It's visible, it's very obvious this is a failed T intersection. It just shouldn't be here at all, so close to a blind corner on a hill.
As you can see, people can come around that top corner in the left-hand lane doing 80 kilometres an hour, and there's an intersection to the right. But there's no overtaking or bypass lane for anyone to get out of the way when a B-double comes down behind them doing 80 kilometres an hour at 68 tonne. It becomes a very dangerous issue for motorists being rear-ended on this intersection. The road surface, as you can see, is extremely shiny, showing no effort of friction point, and next minute you've got cars sliding, trucks sliding, and the result can be catastrophic.
Mark, my question to you is, if you were government, what would you do to solve this problem?
Close the road. Close the road and move it back to a safer intersection where they could come out. If you look the other way, it's a perfectly straight road, so people could look either way and make that turn. You know, it gives a person that's coming up behind an approaching vehicle, you know, a chance to slow down. But when you're coming over a crest of a hill into a downhill sweeper in a heavy vehicle, now I've got heavy vehicle experience. I drove for 20 years, B-doubles, road trains all across Australia, and that is an intersection that I would give the government an F for failed, because it's too unsafe, it's too unstable. The road conditions, shiny surface in the wet, you're going to be sliding, next minute you're going to have the trailer coming past the cab. You know, all roads are supposed to be assessed every 12 months for maintenance or repair. Why hasn't someone flagged this and said it's too dangerous? Let's remove it and move back to a safer intersection.
It's a great example, and I'm sure you have many others in the area.
Oh, we've got some horror stories on the Western Highway out near Burrumbeet, where we've had front ends of four-wheel drives ripped out because of the size of the potholes, where we've had to bring tow trucks out to literally drag the customers on board, leaving other members mortified that they're on holidays. They've come from Adelaide all the way across to us to go through Melbourne and enjoy a holiday at Phillip Island, and their car's on a tow truck because the front end's been ripped out through a pothole.
Mark, could you tell us a little bit about what's happening with potholes and what impact they're having on vehicles when there's that interaction between the tyres and the potholes?
It's probably about 15 to 20% of our work at the moment doing just flat tyres, because customers have hit potholes. Quite often with larger potholes, we'll go and attend customers with 2 flat tyres. because it's taking out both the tyre and the rim on the front and the rear on the same side of the vehicle.
So up to 20% of your job is a direct result of people hitting potholes?
Yes.
And do you think that's getting worse over time?
It will get worse during the winter time because the amount of water that gets on the road, the trucks lift and damage the road because the weights that are on the road. Years ago, they weren't built for such heavy weights. Now we've increased the weights and the damage is more significant through the winter months. So it's one of those things that we'll do on average 10 to 15 flat tyres a day due to potholes. When a vehicle hits a pothole, it can be either minor or major or catastrophic failure mechanically. So that impact, the car is designed for a small deviation in ground, but when it hits a pothole, the wheel will actually drop down into it. It can rupture the tyre wall of the tyre. It can cause lower ball joints to be ripped out of the car. It can cause front axles because a lot of cars are front wheel drive nowadays. That front CV can be cleanly ripped out of the car, and next minute becomes a missile on the side of the road, because that's pretty much a dangerous scenario. But we have had that happen in the middle of winter in the Ballarat area when customers have hit potholes. At speed, doing 100k an hour on our highways. They've come across the pothole in the dark, 10 o'clock at night, pouring rain. The pothole's filled with water until the car impacts it. They've hit the impact, and we've seen four-wheel drives with tyres that completely ripped off the car.
Didn't see it coming.
And
what should you do if you do see the pothole coming?
Slow down. Don't try and veer. Try and wash that speed off.
The worst thing you can do is veer. It's a swerve out of the way.
The worst thing you can do, because then you're going to, depending on what's behind you, you're going to upset people behind you, what's going on. The best thing you can do is tap those brakes, lower that speed of impact. If you lower the speed of impact, you may still get a flat tyre, but you may not tear the front wheel clean off the car. At times last year on the Western Highway around the Burrumbeet area, we had 2 and 3 customers waiting there at a time.
Because of the same pothole?
For the same pothole.
They've all hit the same pothole.
Earlier on this year at Gordon, we had the same thing on the Western Highway. We had 7 people waiting for tyres to be changed.
7 people had hit the same pothole and then pulled over to the side of the road.
Rang RACV, for us to come and change the tyre. 7.
That's a busy day.
It's a busy day. So we've just finished changing one customer's tyre. We've looked up, and next minute the next person's behind them. We've changed their tyre, and it's continued for 7 times until we've got Vic Roads out there to actually put some bollards and start filling the hole. And
what's important for everyone to remember is we all have our own experience of country roads, and RACV is really interested in understanding your experience where you think that there is an unsafe road on one of Victoria's regional roads. Tell us about it. Have your say at My Country Road, racv.com.au/have your say. So here I am with Mark from RACV talking about tyre health and looking after your tyres properly. And what I didn't realise was that tyres are date stamped, and that you should replace your tyres after about 5 years, depending on how you drive and the standards of the roads on which you're driving. So Mark, tell us about how this works and what to look for when looking at your tyres.
When purchasing a new tyre, always ask to see the build date. If you've got tyres already on your car and you want to see how old they are, it's simply find a 4-digit number that is printed on the side of the vehicle, on the side of the tyre, and you'll see the first 2 numbers represent the week of the year it was built. So that was the 36th week of 2025.
So less than a year old?
Less than a year old.
And you think it is about 5 years?
That's about 5 years. Some places, it's always good practice, because after that the tyres are getting aged. As the tyre ages, the rubber becomes harder, so you have less friction on the road.
And how do you know that your tyre is starting to age? What are the signs?
The signs of that tyre getting to an age point, you'll start to see cracking around the inner bead, and it just looks like a spider web. And that cascades and gets worse over time.
Easy to actually identify, really.
Very easily to identify. Buses boats, caravans, trailers that sit around for long periods of time are susceptible to that. So when they first get taken out on the road for your Christmas break and you want to take the caravan for a ride, it might have been sitting in the shed for 4 years.
So unlike the engine, it's not about kilometres travelled, it's actually just time.
It's time. Time it degrades that tyre. So years ago, 20 years ago, people used to harden their tyres in a shed for 12 months for a truck so they could get longer life out of them. But that downside is you've got less friction on the road in an emergency to stop.
And clearly there's a direct link between the health of your tyres and what happens when you hit a pothole.
Yeah, what happens when you hit a pothole, your stopping distance changes dramatically between a good fresh tyre and a tyre that's 5 years old.
So regardless of the quality or the health of the brakes, you could have the best brakes in the world, but if your tyres are old...
You're not stopping. Right? You're going to increase that stopping distance by 20, 30, sometimes 40 and 50 metres. And that means that you're going to be having to exchange numbers because you've hit or you've ran into the back of another member of the public.
And you're certainly more likely to hit a pothole and you're more likely to have a puncture.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, the older that tyre it is, the more brittle it becomes.
So there you've had it. We've heard from Mark, RACV Patrol, about the state of our roads in regional Victoria. RACV wants to hear from you about what you think are the most dangerous roads. To take part in the My Country Road survey, head to racv.com.au/have your say. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Get more news and advice by downloading the RACV app to stay up to date with all our latest home, motoring and travel content.